What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY in the overall markets and break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward and talk about other factors out there, which you should be watching for as time progresses. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Webull link. If you deposit any amount of money, you're guaranteed 12 free stocks. If you deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 in total. Deposit $25,000 more and you're guaranteed 75. The offer ends very soon in just 13 days. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with Tesla. So I just want to mention to everyone that right now, Tesla's showing a little bit of weakness compared to the market. The market's trying to pump during the pre-market session, and Tesla's a little bit lackluster because we have some big news that came out. So I want to break down what the news is that's causing Tesla to dip a little bit and how this could end up shifting. So I just want to say that right now, Tesla's facing an NHTSA investigation of FSD after a fatal collision. It's not the best of news, at least for them coming forward. Now, this is very important because they're going to evaluate whether Tesla's FSD systems are safe to use in fog during the glaring sun and many other factors that kind of reduce roadway visibility. So that's very important. Right now that we have the NHTSA coming out doing this large investigation, and they are once again going to be looking at FSD in a lot of different situations. They're going to be basically following a series of collisions where FSD was in use within 30 seconds of the crash, and they're going to be looking at this very, very carefully. So once again, this is very important news for them. Will this affect Tesla stocks? So far, Tesla is slowing down. But I just want to note that Tesla was trying over the air software updates, which are very effective. And they're going to be investigating those as well to see if they are truly effective. And they're going to be using a bunch of different things to kind of like look at the technology involved. So they're going to be doing a lot of tests. It's very important to note this. This is going to affect basically, and this is what the news is reporting, 2.4 million Tesla EVs on US roads, including the Model S, Model X, and a few more. I think this also kind of like affects the Cybertruck as well. But basically, they're going to be between 2016 and 2024. The Model 3 is between 2017 and 2024. And then Model Y is between 2020 and 2024 with the Cybertruck as well. So, very, very important stuff, guys. Quite a bit of Teslas are going to be involved in this investigation. It's pretty big news. This is part of why Tesla's dipping a little bit compared to the market, right? SPY is up in the pre-market, so is the Nasdaq and the QQQ, but Tesla's down about 0.48% thus far. For more news, Tesla's Cybertruck backlog is depleted, and now they can be ordered without reservation. So, interesting news so far as we're seeing a lot more orders coming in. So, that's good for Tesla, at least thus far. And hopefully, we see a lot more sales. They are planning on scaling the Cybertruck more in their different gigafactories as time goes on. So, it's very interesting. For the broader markets, there are some big headlines I wanted to talk about. So, the first thing is that Apple's new iPhone sales in China are jumping about 20% in the first 3 weeks. That's a good piece of news according to some sources. So, that's part of why we're seeing Apple kind of bounce right now. That's why Apple's trying to push in the opposite direction of Tesla. It's outperforming the markets. And then don't forget that today is October 18th. So that means that we have over 780,000 calls expiring and over 2.9 million of these puts expiring for 567 being max pain and 3.76 put to call ratio. As of right now, the market makers are pushing the market higher, and there's a little bit more potential for us to push, but just be careful as we hit tough resistances as we get closer to all-time highs. The SPY is not the best at holding up so far at those levels. I'll talk about the charts in just a minute. Also, we have a couple of Fed speakers today. So once the market opens at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Bostic giving a speech. Then we have Kashkari and Waller. So keep that in mind. For more news about the market, I'm not really seeing much. The market's climbing so far. Oh yeah, we saw Netflix actually jump quite a bit. I did report this yesterday. They jumped during the after hours yesterday after they got some good earnings, beating on EPS and revenue. They also mentioned that their guidance is pretty good, so that's more positive for the markets. Besides that, there's not really a whole lot else that's coming out on the news. So let's talk about the charts. So as far as Tesla goes, like I said, Tesla is underperforming compared to SPY and the QQQ. Now, if you want to turn bullish on Tesla, you want to hold above not only 220, but try to get back above 222.9 or 20 EMA. To break that, that's going to be, it's going to require some force, and Tesla's not looking like it's ready to do that quite yet. And if you're bearish and Tesla does not hold above 219, so 219 is our support, if that fails for Tesla, we're at risk of dipping all the way down closer to like the 217 zone. And if that fails us, we're going back down to 215 or below. So 215 is going to be a critical support. If that does not hold, Tesla will dump. It's going to dump. So make sure you remember these supports. What do I see for the time being? Well, like I said in my video yesterday, I don't think Tesla's going to dump really hard. I don't think it's going to pump really hard. I think we're going to be kind of choppy. And the real move is going to come once we get earnings. I think that's what Tesla's waiting for. We might be a little bit weaker. We might just see Tesla chop around close to like 219 to 220, maybe tip a little bit more closer to like the 217s or below because of this NHTSA news. There is a risk of some downside, but I'm presuming it's going to most likely not be way too substantial because of the fact that we are mainly just waiting for earnings. So look for lots of chop and some downside. As far as SPY goes, like I said in my videos, we're trying to hold this 20 EMA, the green line right here. We touched this, kind of bounced and bounced and bounced off of it. So if you're bearish on SPY, you want to see it basically lose 582. If that fails us, look at 581.5 hour 20 EMA. If that fails us, then this will be dipping back down easily to like the 579, 578 area or even below. So lose 581.5, we turn more bearish. If we're bullish, as long as you hold above 582.5, I think this will favor this imbalance fill. I think SPY is going to try to push a little bit upon open, get very close to about 585. So I think we could get very close to all-time highs and try to push towards them. If 585 breaks, I think we're going to try to break all-time highs. That's going to be the most likely case. So this chart is favoring upside as we're bouncing off our EMA, and this will try to push a little bit higher, most likely upon open. But then be careful once we get close to about 585. Be careful at that resistance zone. Yes, we could try to push a little bit above that, but be mindful of the fact that it's a tough resistance, and there's no guarantee we just smash through that. We could slow down ultimately. For ES, we are holding our 20 EMA very, very nicely as we bounced there, we bounced here, and also right there. So if you're bearish, you want to see us lose 58.85, and if you're bullish, you want to see us continue. This is favoring this imbalance fill for the 59.07 area, and if that breaks, we're looking for the 59.10s. I think we could be pushing closer to the 59.10 area, but then we'll see if you reject. So be very, very patient nonetheless. I think we will push a little bit higher. We'll see what kind of reaction we get, at least from here. For Nvidia, Nvidia's on a nice uptrend, holding its 20 and 50 EMAs very nicely. Now, if we're bearish on Nvidia, you want to see it basically lose 138. If that fails us, we come back down closer to 135, in my opinion. If we continue to hold support above 137, I think the odds are favoring that this is going to try to push up for very close to about 140. So it looks a little bit more bullish, especially after Netflix earnings. As tech is getting bought back up, and also after TSMC's earnings from yesterday morning, it's still affecting us. So I think that this could attempt to push to this imbalance is the most likely case for the 140 target. For Bitcoin, Bitcoin's kind of flat right now in a range, has kind of like a double top, might slow down a little bit and dip closer to about the 67,000 area. And we'll see if we bounce off that or not. We have this resistance to watch for around 68,000. So look for a little bit of a dip towards 66,800. And we'll see if we bounce or not from here. For other factors out there, we have NQ, and NQ is trying to get bought back up. If we were to lose 20,416, we're looking for a dip back down towards 20,200. And with this inverse head and shoulders, this is favoring upside. My gut tells me this will be pumping back up to 20,500. There's a good chance we try to push higher. So far, NQ is favoring the upwards direction. We will see if this ends up continuing to be the case, but for now, we still look a little bit more bullish. Also, we look a little bit more bullish on the QQQ again. Now, if we were to turn back down, you want to see it lose 494, 492. If those fails, we're going to be looking for a dip all the way down to 490 or below. As long as we're above 494, I would say at least 492.66. As long as we're above that range, this could push even higher for about 496. We're very close to that. We'll see how it reacts, though, because it's a tough resistance. And we'll see if we make a lower high compared to these highs or not. Because if we make a lower high, we just get stopped at 496 and reject. This could be a sign that this is churning as we're making lower highs. But if we break past 497, we could remain a lot more bullish. So I'll be watching that. For now, just look for a little bit more upside and we'll see how high it goes. For Apple, this is gapping up and pushing after we got some reports that their iPhone sales are looking pretty strong in China. After a long time, it's finally happening. We're making higher lows right here, so Apple's a little bit more bullish. If we were to lose 235, we're looking for 233, but this is favoring that it wants to get closer to about this tough resistance at 237. And if we break the 237.5 area, we could get closer to about just under 239. So there is some upside potential. We'll see how this ends up going. As far as Netflix goes, this is pushing higher. I think we could be getting up to about 736, but then after that, resistance is going to be tougher. So be careful. We're already up quite a bit. It might push a little bit more after earnings. For the IWM Russell 2000, we dipped a bit during the pre-market only to get bought back up. So now it's getting bought back up at the markets. I think this has potential to push higher. And I think we could be approaching where this wick is around the 228.5 area. So there is more upside potential in this. We could be pushing closer to 228. For coin, we have kind of like a double top. We need to break past 212 to remain bullish. Otherwise, we're at risk of coming back down to about 203. So be very mindful of that. As far as Amazon goes, we're still kind of choppy right here. We're looking for 187 to 186 as our support zone. We have resistance at 188. I think the odds are favoring 186 to 187 to be tested, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get from there, if we bounce or not. Meta looks more bullish. I think this might be attempting to get up to about 582. If that breaks, this will be flying up to about 585, then 587. Looks a little bit more bullish, but we will see if this move lasts. Microsoft is just choppy right now. It might dip closer to about 415, maybe a little bit lower, but it looks very choppy, not really doing much. Google's trying to push here. If we break past 165.74, we're looking for basically 166.6. If we reject off 165.74, we could be dipping back down to 164. Thus far, it favors the upwards direction. So ultimately, guys, the market is looking like it wants to push a little bit higher, but just know it's a Friday. And despite the fact that there's lots of options expiring, there's going to be a lot of manipulation. So even if we do pump a little bit, they could still dump us later on. We'll see if that ends up being the case. But for now, we are going to see a Friday pump to start things off. Tesla might be a little bit weak compared to the market because of the investigation that's going on. This is not the best of news for Tesla, but ultimately, guys, the much bigger move is going to come after earnings, and that's what Tesla is waiting for. With that being said, I appreciate you guys so much for listening. Please have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. I'll see you guys very soon in the next one, and peace out.